Hello guys, welcome to the Football Manager Creator News episode 7. This episode is one that I've been wanting to record for some time. I think it's important to think about, and certainly if you are someone who is thinking of creating content on YouTube, then this is just for you. Essentially, I'm going to bring you 5 tips that I wish I'd heard when I started making content. And this is really based on my own mistakes, based on the mistakes I've seen other people make, and it's 5 more generic concepts, not very specific tips, but generic concepts that you might want to adhere to or think about. All relate to FM. In fact, there's only one that specifically relates to FM, so these things are quite generic across the board, I think. If you want to have more specific detail on how to make videos on YouTube, Loki Doki about a couple of years ago did a fantastic series on exactly that. You'll find it on his channel in one of his playlists. If I remember, I will try and link it down below. Really cracking series that I think anyone starting out should have a look at. It's still very, very relevant today. I'd also before we get going, just qualify. I don't have that many subs, so it's not saying, well, this is how to get loads of subs. This is just based from my own experiences, things that I think are important. So I imagine that I will get people say, what are you doing? You've only got 200 odd subs. You can't give anyone advice. Well, I've been doing this for a year and a half. It's in a very niche area, and I'm incredibly proud of the 290 subs or so that I've got up for now. And if you're one of those, much appreciated. Now, if you want to be one of those, you know what to do. Hit that sub button. So number 1, which I'm calling Ready Steady Go. So what do I mean by this? Now, from doing the Football Manager Creator Showcase, the one piece of advice that people always give is just start. If you're wanting to do it, just start. My advice here is going to be a little bit different to that. I think it's important to get that first bit of momentum. That is really important, making that first video, because that means you're committed to doing it. The problem is with that I found, and this is what I found when I started, once you make that first video, you're kind of locked in. You will then start to want to make more videos fairly quickly. Now, if you don't have a very good grounding in how to make a good video, how to make a thumbnail, we'll cover that in a second, how to edit the video, how to even chop the video up. I had no idea how to do these things, and then how to put it all together and look fairly nice, then it's going to limit you, and what you're going to end up producing is probably a dodgy thumbnail, which is exactly what my first series had. You won't be, it will be, your editing will be maybe not great, and you'll be spending all your time running around thinking, well, what do I do next? What do I do next to get it up? What I'm suggesting is once you've made the decision to go live on YouTube, then take a little bit of time before you get going to sort out your channel art, your channel identity. That's important. Loki will talk about some of those things, so yeah, go and check that out. There's a whole video on your branding. So so you need to sort that out. You need to think about how you're going to make your thumbnails. What are you going to use to make your thumbnails, and are you proficient enough using that to make a good thumbnail? What are you going to record with? Do you know how to use that? OBS, of course, is what a lot of people use, but do you know about OBS? Do you know how to capture it? Exactly how are you going to format your videos? What are they going to look like? All that sort of stuff needs to be thought about, I think, initially. And if you've got that plan of what you want to do, of how you're going to do it, and you've got a basic understanding of all the bits of software, then it's going to make things a lot easier for you. That's certainly something I wished I hadn't jumped straight into, and I'd kind of just had a week to figure out how I was going to make these things look better than I did. And I think that will help initially. Thumbnails. Now, thumbnails are king. This is your advertisement to the rest of the world. They appear on when on YouTube searches or recommended lists and things like that. And if you got a crap thumbnail, no one is going to click on it. So you want to think about making your thumbnail look good. You need to have some key things on that thumbnail. You need to have the game that you're playing, so FM20, that needs to be on there. A title of your video, your channel identity, put your branding on the video, and this all needs to stand out from the background. Often, one of the things I see most often when people ask me to have a look at their channel is they've got a lovely background, but their title just blends into the background. So think about how you're going to make those thumbnails, how you're going to make your titles and the other bits and bobs stand out from the background. I think, I started out making thumbnails in PowerPoint, which is fine, but it leaves you a little bit limited. There is Canva, which is an online tool, but I think you want to quickly make the progression to the likes of Photoshop and GIMP, which are, GIMP is a sort of free version of Photoshop, which I use, and it does allow you to make your titles stand out very nicely. You can have your, a little bit of a white background around black text, which kind of brings them out, and that's dead easy to do. And there's some nice tutorials exactly how to do that available. So yeah, think about those thumbnails, think about making them attractive and remembering that they need to stand out, and that you're going to design them at the 1270 by 720, isn't that that's the pixel size, I think, something like that. But it's quite big and it's going to shrink down, so don't have your text too small, because otherwise no one will be able to read it when it's in the sort of the standard sort of YouTube thumbnail size. Think about those things. Right, number 3, think about the viewer. Yeah, this is important, and it's so easy to get a little bit overexcited when you start out making content on YouTube. I did exactly this. I made a couple of videos and then I thought, oh, this is fantastic, and then just churn them out. Seven videos a week on this one save. You've got to think that the majority of people who are going to watch this, they are also watching other content, and you've got to take that into mind. If you make content that is 7 days a week on one save, you're probably not going to hold your viewers. It's really hard to keep up with that sort. No one does that. None of the big boys do that. You look at Loki, he has one save now on YouTube, and it's 5 days a week, and that's it. And I think that's almost too much. I think that's even hard to keep up with. On my channel, whilst I put content out 7 days a week, I have multiple different things going on, which allows me to do that. So I have nothing on my channel that is more than 3 episodes a week, and I think that is a good benchmark. I'm not saying you can't have other stuff on the and as I say, I do, but just think about your viewer, that they are not going to want to commit vast quantities of time to your videos. And it's difficult because just as you're starting out, if you don't have a video that comes out on a day, it's likely that you're probably not going to get many views on that day. But I think if you overcommit, I think in the long run it's not going to work for you. In the same concept, you want to think about the length of your videos. If you have videos that are regularly 28, 29, sort of 30 plus minutes long, that's also going to be a turn off to viewers. I think if you have the odd one in there that's long, fine, but try and keep your videos short and snappy, and that is also going to be more attractive to people watching. If you've got short videos, then it's easier to fit into people's schedules, because people, myself, I have a vast number of videos or series that I'm trying to keep up with, and if someone puts out something which is sort of 50 odd minutes long, it makes it hard to watch. Yeah, reach out. So this is an important one, and it's something that everyone should remember to do. I want to say for a couple of things I'm not talking about. So I'm not talking about going onto people's channels and saying sub for sub. That's not a way to grow your channel. Channel wants to grow organically, if that's a thing. It wants to grow by people finding it and enjoying it and then watching it, and that is a much more healthy way for channel growth. So don't go off and buy a load of subs and views, because you still, once those have dried up, you're not going to get any more. You'll be back to where you were. You want to attract people by making good quality content. Also, and this is a biggie, and if you don't know about this, make sure you don't do this. Don't go onto other people's channels and say, look at my content, this is my content, in their comments, particularly the big channels. It's something I think when we're new to YouTube or content creation, we do. It's never looked at very fondly, and so just try and avoid that. I think certainly there's things like that on Twitch which are really frowned upon. I think it's the same in YouTube. Just don't do that. But what I mean by reach out, as I've gone through all the no's, is reach out to the FM community. On Twitter, there is a bunch of very, very helpful people who regularly make content. We're all kind of smaller creators, but we are all kind of helping each other out. And if you want, if you are just starting making out videos, you've only got 2 or 3 videos, ask some of the FM creator community to have a look, check them out, and we will do exactly that. We'll give you some advice on what we think you need to improve on, how you need to maybe how you get a little bit better. We'll have a watch of your videos. We'll look at the channel look, the art, the thumbnails, all these things, and we'll give you a little bit of advice on what needs to be done. There's some amazing people in that community, the likes of Old Lady Plays. Cobby is always great at sort of offering a word or two of advice and going over to people's channels. Football Manager Maniac, another superb guy. The list really goes on. So come over on Twitter, say, look, I've got a new video, put your advertisements on there, and people will retweet and get involved in the community, and also kind of as you start to improve, you can help out newer guys who are just starting out. It's really worthwhile doing. Finally, and this is the one bit which is kind of specific to FM, I think, and it's one that I don't think I've heard mentioned before. Try and pick your first save carefully. I think a lot of people jump in with a journeyman, they jump in with something massive. I would suggest going for a club that that you're comfortable with, that you can provide something, a little bit of extra knowledge about. So a club maybe that you support, or a club that you live near, that you know really well, and you can give a little bit more insight into that club than maybe other people can. And that is going to allow people to sort of say, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is quite interesting. I didn't know that. Whereas if you just start out with a random club and in a sort of journeyman aspect, that might harm you a little bit, because you're basically doing what everyone else is doing, and you're not offering anything new. And also with that first save, think about it as a sort of trial. Those first few videos are not going to be your best videos, so think about it as a bit of a trial. Don't try and run it for too long. So have a defined endpoint. So you're going to take your club and you're going to try and get them promoted, or try and get them to win the league or something like that. And just have that as a little trial save. Within that, it will allow you to find your voice, find your style, and it will allow you to start your next save in a place where you kind of think, oh, well, I know what I'm doing now. I know how to make a good thumbnail. I know how to edit my videos in a nice, cool way. Yeah, all those sort of things. Okay, guys. Well, I hope that was useful. I hope you found some of those little tips helpful. I think some of them may be obvious, maybe some of them not. Yeah, if you enjoyed that video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you want to have more videos from the FM Creator News and other bits and bobs that I do. Leave a comment down below with your own tips, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.